Alrighty, it's time to jump on the bandwagon. We are finally at the final stage of this project. If this is the first video that you are tuning into, I recently realized that I have been cosplaying for 10 years. I have decided to recreate my first ever cosplay. That is Kagome Higurashi from the Inuyasha series. Earlier today, I just finished her outfit, so I have a part 1 of making the skirt, part 2 making the top, and I'm also an archer, and Kagome is an archer, so for my part 3, I'm gonna make some arrows. So with my current arrows that I already have on hand, Kagome has arrows with white feathers, and I do not have arrows with white feathers, so I'm making some arrows with white feathers. I have not been able to get everything exactly as I was hoping for, but we are going to do our best. As I mentioned in part 2, also on this day, earlier today, mentally, I am not that great. I have felt very overwhelmed trying to get this project done. There are a couple aspects of how I'm going to put this together. It's not how I have made my arrows previously, so doing it a new way is freaking me out more than it probably should. I'm gonna hope I can get a lot or all of the arrows done today, maybe. It would be really great if I could get up to putting the feathers on. That's the last step. But without getting too much into a woe is me sort of thing, I have organised my table to go in order of what I need to get done and how I do my arrows. So we're going to go this way down the line. First, I'm going to work on my arrow shafts, get them ready. Then I'll be putting my nocks on. Then I'll be putting the arrow tips on. And then I'm going to be putting the feathers on. So let's get this finished and let's get onto the arrow shafts. My face is probably going to be out of shot for a lot of this, but that doesn't matter. If you would like to look at this fantastic contraption, this lovely block of wood, my coach made that for me so that I can do this and make my arrows easier to deal with. Okay. Alright, so first thing I like to do with my arrows is I don't think I want to use that one because that one I need to get a new one. Alright, take 2. So we've got our arrow shaft. We need to put the nock on one end and the arrow tip on the other. So we've got this kind of pencil sharpener sort of thing. They've got different thicknesses either end. This one is the point. It has a bit more of a narrow sharpened pencil sort of edge to it, and this end here is the nock point. That doesn't need to be as shaved as much as the tip. Now, I have different arrow tips, so my coach said I don't need to sharpen the tip end. I do still need to sharpen the nock end though. So we're gonna sharpen our ends for our nocks. That's what we're gonna do. Don't mind me just doing it wrong immediately. No, that was right. Alright, well, demonstration. So this is what we've just sharpened. That is for the point or the tips that I don't have that I usually use. And this is the nock end. So this one makes it easier for the tip to slide on that way. So the nocks have a bit more, whoops, nocks don't have as much area. But you know, now that I've just done a point end, now I can't use this one. All right, we will get there. And now my butt's wet. Today is a lovely day. My butt's wet.
Wet inside the shed too. Wet everywhere. It's fucking annoying. I got 7.5 poles. They grab the conical point of the tip. I don't know for how long. Once they start stretching and once they start using, who knows. And then 8mm, which grab right at the very point at the cylindrical point.
Cool.
So there's options. A bunch of holes. If we need more, there's more wood. But there's a couple of different sizes. I didn't know how big of a thing to hold.
Thank you.
A couple of options. Now I'm going to have scones because I won't have.
I guess I should probably mention as well, these shafts are cedar 5/16, I think. I do apologize, I am not too aware and knowledgeable in all the lingo and all the specifics. I'm kind of just doing what my coach has been telling me. So making a video about this probably isn't the best. Also, with knowing how long your arrow needs to be, you kind of just like put it on your chest there and then you put your arms out. So if you've got like at least, I think it's at least another inch or two, that's long enough for your arrow. I like to have mine a bit longer. I told my coach, because he was picking up my order for me, I didn't want longer than 80 centimeters. That's how long my first set of arrow shafts were. I break the tips off a lot, so if I've got long enough distance, I can just glue another arrow tip on and still use the same arrow shaft. Let's get on to the next step. So we have our nock points sharpened, and now we just have to go along and sand the shafts, because we are going to be putting some varnish on that. So just as you do, sanding up and down along it, and then next one. Probably worth mentioning, you do want relatively fine sandpaper, because you would want them to be nice and smooth. So now we've got all of them sanded. What I like to do, I'm not sure if it really matters, I like to do a little bit of a dust off of all the sandings, because we are going to varnish now, and I don't know if it matters, but it made more sense to me to try and dust off any extra sand particles or whatever before I put a varnish on. No! You! So I've just got some spray, quick dry. I can't remember. Excuse me, one moment. We have a vinyl. All I like to do with it is I like to just stick it there, put my finger up there. That's upwind. Up and down. And then I just turn it around and hope that I get everywhere. That'll do. I like to do, whoops, 2 layers of this because I found my first set of arrows where I just did one, I don't think it was that great. But what you also want to do, I'm going to spray the first layer on all of the shafts. Get back there. Then I'm going to sand it, then I'm going to do my second coat. Is it varnish, not vinyl? Meh. So all of these are going to get 1 coat of the varnish, I guess. Then we are going to sand them. And then we are going to do another coat. I've forgotten what I'm saying. Let us just skip ahead to once it's all done. Okay, on to the next step. Not gonna lie, I had to calmly get myself out of a potential freak out because I had a scare that everything I had just done was wrong, but it's fine, I think. So what we have done is we have sharpened our nock ends, we have sanded the shafts, varnished the shafts, sanded again, and varnished again. Next step is putting the nocks on. This is the glue I use for the nocks. So a bit of a story time with the nocks. Here I've got some lovely diagrams to show because I don't think it was picking up very well on the camera before me trying to show it. I like using the nocks with the fin, I'm gonna call it. I like using them now, I think, instead of ones that are just flat. So your string will go in this bit here, if you can see it. This one here, the black and blue one, that doesn't have a fin, whereas my green and yellow one does. I'm finding I like the nocks with the fin better now because when I nock an arrow, I am now pulling it out of my quiver, holding onto the nock. So I want to be able to feel the direction of how I need to nock it in place. You can see better with this one. Whoop. So you can see the yellow feather, which is the cock feather. I discovered there's a lot of potential cock jokes in archery. So the yellow feather, the cock feather, that's sort of straight up, and the other 2 feathers, not fellas, are a bit more to the side. These ones are on the side because it needs to go past the bow this way. So these feathers, more side on, just keep themselves out of the bow's way a bit easier. So now instead of just looking for which coloured feather I need to have at the top, because I've got different coloured feathers. So this one I've got black with a little bit of blue, and then a more prominent blue for the cock feather, and then of course I've got the yellow for the cock feather and 2 greens. I'm getting away with saying cock a lot. Anyway, if I'm able to feel the nock, feel its fin, then I don't have to always look out for the feather. I'm trying to explain my logic with things as I'm going, because then hopefully you can understand what makes sense to me. Originally, I wanted black nocks and a black cock feather, and then I would still have 2 white feathers, because Kagome has white feathers, but I wanted the third to be a different colour. They didn't have black nocks in stock, so I have red, so I've got red feathers to match that. All we need to do with this, the nocks are actually nice and easy. We just need to put a bit of the glue in the nock, push it on the end like that, and then that's done. However, this is what I had the freak out for. On the arrow shaft, there is the grain of the wood, and it can come out in these sort of V-type things. What you need to do is line up your nock. So in this case, where my fin is, I want to line that up on the same side that I can see some of these V grain lines. The purpose of that is, if we're about to release an arrow, if that snaps mid-release, this should hopefully have the breakages and the snaps go around my hand and not splinter myself. Now, I was getting myself confused because I thought the arrow tip side had to be pointing in the direction of the grain line, essentially. But I went through all my arrows. There's a couple of these that have the grain line going down, but then they've also got it going up straight away. So I'm gonna hope that that doesn't matter as long as I have my knocking point and essentially my cock feather going on the grain line along the same side as those V's grain line as much as possible. That is what I'm going with. So now that is too much talking. Let's just do the thing. You just need to be able to put a little bit around the edge. Don't know how well you can see it, but I've just got a little bit around the edge. I find my grain line and then I just push it in. I think I need to get some tissues so I can just clean up a little bit of the excess that comes out. And then we've got our nock. Now, considering how long it actually took to put the nock on itself, I do apologize of all the talking beforehand. However, this is my space on the internet. I will talk as much as I want, and I would like to hope I gave you a little bit more detail than just put some glue on and just chuck it on and then you're done. Because I sometimes need a lot more information when I'm trying to learn things from a video. I would much rather talk too much and you know all the logic that I'm going with than just say, just do this, and not explain what I'm doing. So I'm having a look for the grain line before I put the nock on. So this is how I do this bit. I will put this last nock on, and then you guys can skip ahead to when I've done all of that, and we can get on to what we'll be up to. Yeah, we'll do the points. That'll be so exciting. Alright. On to the points. Okay. We are all knocked up. Ha 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 ha. Okay. So we've got to put the tips or the points on. This is what I have been freaking out the most for. With my previous arrows, as I showed in the beginning, I've needed to sharpen the ends as well so that the tip can go on like that, and then the glue keeps it in place. These ones are different because they have about here-ish on it. They have screw lines in there. So what I need to do is push it on and then actually turn and screw the tip onto the wood. It's going to get very loud in a second, so I'm gonna talk through this and probably overlap my voice onto me actually doing it. You need to get a heat gun, and then what we need to do is we need to heat up the tip and then heat up our hot melt glue. When we heat up the tip, it expands, gets a little bit bigger, so that when we put it over the shaft, when it cools down, it will tighten around it. Because I have to screw the tip on, which I'm not sure how it's going to go, my coach said I need to have this little plank of wood, screw some holes in it about a size smaller than the tip. I can use that to screw the tip onto the shaft. And again, when it cools down, the tip will shrink again, and then it will stay in place with the glue as well. I have never used the arrow tips with the screw etching on the inside before, so I'm freaking out probably a lot more than I should about stuffing these up. But we are just going to have to continue on, hope for the best, and see what happens. I'm gonna let that cool down and then try and pull it out. I kind of kept twisting it around until I couldn't anymore, so hopefully we're all right. Well, it's a lot neater than the other way I did. Yeah, I guess I hope that works. I gotta do this 11 more times. I'll see you when we're up to the feathers. Hold that thought. So this is my second one. I was able to push in this a lot further than the first one. So I might have to do the first one again. I'm gonna continue going through these other ones. Technically, I guess this one is still fine. I mean, there's still glue on it and that's pretty strong. This one, and hopefully the rest onwards, are gonna be in a lot more and be more stable than that first one. We learn by doing. Okay, so I've not put all of the tips on yet because, as it turns out, twisting and pushing is very tiring. So we're gonna forget about that. I've got half of them still to go, but what I can do is the ones that I've already done, I can start putting their feathers on. So as you can see, I've got these lovely contraptions here. These are the fletching jigs. I had one of them. I thought it was awesome. So when I bought all my supplies for my arrows, I got another set so I can make this quicker. My coach also let me borrow the club's fletching jig, which can do 6 arrows at once. However, when he was telling me how to use it, he said, if this thing happens, you need to do this thing, and you have to make sure this and this. And I've forgotten what that is. Also, I'm not in the mood to try and fidget my way through figuring out how to use the other fletching jig when this one is already fine and I don't have to think at all. With the feathers, it's kind of easy. It's just time consuming because you're waiting for the feathers to dry. So we've got this glue here. I think I'm gonna actually have to jump on the other side of the camera there. Let's do a quick little camera angle change. Ooh, fancy. Let's get that one out of the way for now. So we've got our jigs. We've got some measurements along here. That can tell us how far away we want to put our feather. This one's got some glue on it, so this must be my one that I've already used. What we're going to do, we've got our nock, we've got my fin, so I know the cock feather or the red feather needs to go on this side. There's a little nozzle here. We need to click our nock in there. Yep, that's right. So what we do now that that's in place, we grab our feather, needs to go on that way. Okay. So I've just clipped that onto the blue feather, one of the other arrows I've already done. So we've got our feather and then we've got this white bit here. So that has kind of a bit of a lip sort of thing to that. So we want to put our clamp just on either side of that. Yeah, pretty sure that's right. Just put that on, because then we can put that down. I think that's a little too far back. The feather is here. I think I want it to be a bit closer. So I think it's actually all the way to the end where it needs to go. There are also magnets on here. So we've got that in place. All we need to do is carefully drizzle our glue. I should probably get a tissue for this too. We just need to drizzle as little as we can the glue onto the feather. And then we can just snap that into place, make sure that's down, and then we wait for 10 minutes. But we shall get the next feather on. Now the first time I did these, my coach said getting a 1mm syringe works really well to keep it neat. However, I started finding that I was fussing around with trying to get it into the syringe too much. So I decided to do it this way and came up with pretty much the same result. I am feeling so shaky at the moment, and that will be fine. Alright, and then what we need to do, we just need to wait for 10 minutes and then they'll be dry. Then we can unclip, and then there's a knob on the end here. We can turn that, and then that will rotate the shaft into our next position for the next feathers. Technically, I think this glue will dry quicker than 10 minutes. However, to be on the safe side, 10 minutes is good. I just realized I took the whole nozzle off! I'm stupid, I'm an idiot. Oh my god! And there we have it, our first 2 arrows done. I'm so tired. It's 6 o'clock and I think my day started at about 8. No, I think 9 o'clock this morning. I started work on finishing Kagome's top, and then I've been working on my arrows from about 2 till 9. 2 till now. So obviously I will finish my other 10 arrows later. I'm really glad I was able to get at least 2 done completely today. The glue's not too bad. It doesn't look any worse from previous ones. Yeah, I hope Yeah, I know that this one is the first one I did, and I'm not sure if I put that tip in far enough, so we shall see how well that holds up, but on the whole, pretty happy. It's weird when there's something that's really stressful, but then you get it done and then you're extremely like happy or satisfied when it's actually done. I am happy with this. So here's hoping the next thing you see is me at my archery club taking a couple of shots. We'll see. Hopefully, if I'm not chicken. Okay. Today's the day. Everything has all led up to this moment. It's the last week of the July school holidays, so this is my last chance. I've still not been good mentally at all, so it was far more tempting to not do this at all. But I'm keeping cool, calm, and collective, and I'm gonna get it done. And the point of shooting at archery was because there's less people on the Wednesdays in the school holidays, so I won't be too nervous. But now for some reason people have started going on Wednesdays, so I'm just and I had to do almost all my arrows all over again. I didn't set up the jig right, so almost all of the feathers were on the wrong angle, so I had to do them again. But that's fine, because after I did them all the first time, I remembered I've only got the red feather so that I can see which way it needs to go on the bow, but the whole point of the nocks is there's a fin, so I can tell which way it needs to go on the bow, so the red feather means nothing. So now at least, because I had to do all the arrows again, at least I was able to make them all white feathers. So there's that. But anyway, I'm gonna have a nice, chill, cool, concentrated morning. The game plan is have my breakfast, put my hair into braids, brush out my wig, get dressed, load everything up into the car, and then hopefully have a good day of shooting. I make no promises as to how well or how not well I will shoot. I think in May I beat my personal best and got 150 points, and then I had medieval fair and archery camp, and then I've kind of just gone downhill from there. But as long as I come out with no broken arrows at the end of the day, it'll be fine. Alright, well, it is time to get our Kagome on. Well, that first one missed, but at least the other two looked good. Of course I shoot well on the one that I don't film. Oh my goodness. I think it's time to go home. Oh my goodness. I can't believe how well that worked. I'm so glad that it was just Kevin and I there today. A big part of stress was a lot more people started coming to Wednesdays, and I'm like, no, stay back. But it was just him and I there today, and that was great. Well, it's pretty weird. Everything's done, and it was a good day. My arrows flew really well. They are a little bit shorter than my other arrows, so I'm wondering if because they're a little bit shorter and probably a bit better proportion to my size, they were able to shoot a bit better. My back is really sore. And we didn't even break any. I'm really happy with how everything turned out. I think I would probably make another schoolgirl uniform thing in the future for other stuff. So I think next time, the cuffs are a bit baggy. So I think I would make them a lot shorter. Like I could cut that quite a bit. I don't think I want them to be able to like come through like a jumper. I would like it to be a bit more of a tight form sleeve sort of thing. I guess I'll have to figure out how I'm gonna do this properly. Or now that I know that I don't understand the instructions, I can just do what I did before, but just make it a little neater. I wonder if anyone else has a video on how they got it done. As I was wearing it, I feel like the skirt was fine. Like, it's not horrible, but the pleats just weren't deep enough. It was kind of spread out, like even as I'm sitting here, it's basically spread out completely and not even folded at all. Again, next time if I do a thing, I will make it out of 4 panels, make deeper pleats. I was thinking while I was out, I might make the folds that you don't see. I might actually even hand stitch a couple of those together, because then those folds can be strong and they're not gonna separate. I just want a nice crisp fold. But I am really glad I was able to put pockets into these things. What else is there to say? I'm so tired. Nah, I think I've been saying it a lot recently, but yeah, I've not mentally been doing well, so it was very easy for me to just have said, no, I'm too scared, I'm too anxious about this, I'm not gonna do it. But I'm very glad that I was like, nope, I can go through this, it's fine, and everything was okay. So I started working on this pretty much the end of May. It's now the middle of July, and who knows when part 3 this video is going to be coming out. In all honesty, hopefully the latest of December. Today's the 29th of January 2023 and I'm still editing this. But I'm pretty sure with the shirt video I won't have this scheduled until March maybe to actually be on my channel. Seeing how all of this happened again, it made me think about saying stuff and I just had the perfect bit to come in on. I'm very excited to have this cosplay finally edited and done. I'm very excited to be working on my new projects for 2023. I've got my reflection and intention video going into a lot more detail about all of that if you want to check that out. I'm very excited that I finally got this whole cosplay and video project done. I am still having some mental issues that I'm working on and working through, but I think I've figured out a good direction for me to go into. So I'm finally done with all of the 2022 projects and I'm gonna continue going on with just a couple of 2023 projects, and I'm very excited to keep going and do more cosplays and put some more songs out. And if anyone wants to jump on the bandwagon, tag along for the ride, you're more than welcome to. And I think that's about time to wrap this up. But wowzers, I did the thing! Thank you so much for sticking around and watching. I recently just noticed that I got some lovely comments on my cloak videos recently, so that got me really excited about getting into this again. But yeah, I've got lots of other social media stuff that you can follow me on if you would like to. So I've got YouTube, Triple J Unearthed, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, and DeviantArt. I think that was all of them. So yeah, follow me on there if you like. And yeah, that's it. I can't even think. I'm too tired. My videos may not be perfect, but if they were, I wouldn't be a mediocre musician. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you again.